Hey all, and welcome back for another HellfireComms Patreon TV Com. Today we're going to be checking out the 10th episode of the 5th series of Doctor Who. Yes, we called them series in the UK because we're weird like that. And this one is called Vincent and the Doctor. This is a particularly favourite episode of mine, and it was commissioned by GojiroFan123. Now, Volk, do you watch Doctor Who at all? Because if you don't, I'm here to kind of like fill in the gaps and answer questions and whatnot.
I haven't watched Doctor Who much at all. I've only maybe sat down and watched 3 or 4 episodes when I was in the lounge with my girlfriend. She's the Doctor Who buff between the both of us. I have heard quite a fair bit about this particular episode. You say it's a favourite of yours, but it seems to be fairly high ranked just in general among the Doctor Who fans in the world.
Well, I guess we'll have to get on, and you'll see as we go through just why I like it so much. If you guys need help syncing our audio to your copy of the media, check the video description. There are syncing details, and there's also unique metadata for the video. Alright, here we go. In 3, 2, 1. Okie dokie. Do you know who the Doctor is at this point in time, mate?
If I remember the particular scenes and what have you from this episode that I have been exposed to, I believe this would be Matt Smith's Doctor.
Yes, indeed, the 11th Doctor. And we're dealing with a little bit of a historical here, because it does revolve around a particularly famous historical person, an artist in this regard. It's fucking Vincent van Gogh. You know, you can probably tell by the title and whatnot.
I have to say, I think they picked a really good actor for Vincent for this. I think he looks quite uncanny too. I'm assuming that is the dude himself over in the left there.
I guess so, yeah. Bill Nighy here, taking a very small role in the grand scheme of things, honestly. Just a museum guide, I suppose. That's Matt Smith as the 11th Doctor. We have Karen Gillan as Amy Pond, his companion. I guess at this point in time, in the story, and this is a bit of a spoiler, but you're not going to watch Doctor Who, folks, so who really cares? In the previous episode, or one of the previous ones in this series, her fiancé, I want to say, Rory, died and fell through a crack in time. So not only is he dead, her memories of him are gone, everyone's memories of him are gone. Only the Doctor seems to remember, really. So keep that in mind and the themes of depression as we go forward in this episode.
Fair enough.
It's a picture of me being bored, waiting for comms to start.
Hello, I'm ntom64, and welcome to the 3-hour wait to start commentary.
Always the way, always the way. Do you have a particular favourite artist, Volk?
A favourite artist? Well, I've always rather liked the works of Roy Lichtenstein, personally. But I think that was more around about the time I was doing art in school. Pop art seemed to be the line that I could draw between doing just cartoony / anime drawings that I wanted to do, yet still get away with doing actual art, which is what the art teachers wanted me to do. So it found it to be a good divide, and I kind of chose that as sort of my focal or learning point.
There shouldn't really be a monster in the background of any famous painting, so I think history is kind of being tampered with here a little bit.
Oh no, Van Gogh's inner demons are being made manifest! Quick, we need the Phantom Thieves!
Now, very funny by the way, that's not his driver's license, that's his psychic paper. It can basically, manifest suggestive thoughts onto it, so he's like, yeah, I'm in charge, and the guy's like, yeah, you're in charge. Doesn't work on everyone, though.
It's like the Force Jedi mind trick. It's just like, you do not need to see my identification. It's just like, this is my identification. It doesn't matter what the situation is and what the context is. It's just like, oh, okay. It's like, I am the Prime Minister of Jellybeans. Oh, yes, we've been expecting you, sir.
Do you like bow ties, Volk? Do you think they are cool?
I do prefer the long tie, although I have to say, I do have respect for the bow tie. It's not my personal choice, but I have seen some very well put together and immaculate use of the bow tie that I have to go, maybe there is something to it after all.
The good old Dickie bow. So as we go through here, if there's anything at all you're like confused about or you want more context, just like ask me, because I'm usually the one asking questions, so I feel like a role reversal is in order here.
That is fair enough. I mean, it's quite a nice change of pace when we get something that you've obviously followed so closely that you can pretty much call upon any amount of Doctor Who knowledge or lore and just spill it in an instant.
No, don't land on the cat. Next to the cat is fine, and I love that stock cat screech sound effect. Right, let's see. They are currently in 1890. Look out for a very famous cafe coming up.
Is it a Starbucks? Because it'll be like Game of Thrones with a Starbucks cup just all sitting there on the table.
Well, that's just date the episode. Yes, there was a fucking cup of Starbucks coffee in the latest Game of Thrones episode.
The memes that have sprouted from that have been most excellent to absorb over the last couple of days.
Mm-hmm. Are you a Marvel fan, mate?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Have you seen Endgame?
I have, yes.
Do you realise there is a particularly iconic character from Endgame in this episode?
Ah, okay. Has he been revealed yet?
Well, it's a she, actually. It's Karen Gillan, Nebula.
Ah, of course.
Now, there is actually another MCU actor coming out in just a second here. Wait for it. There he is, the ginger lad. He was actually in, Tony Curran, he was in Thor the Dark World, I believe. He played like Thor's grandfather or something.
Oh, okay, so this is part of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, is what you're saying.
And funnily enough, the Ninth Doctor, Chris Eccleston, actually played the villain of Thor the Dark World.
I don't actually remember that. I don't really remember much about the Thor movies apart from Ragnarok, which is a bit strange, really, and maybe a bit sacrilegious to say, but when Ragnarok was that good, you tend to forget about the existence of the other two films, since they were kinda... I wouldn't say they were crap, but they just weren't fantastic. They were kinda forgettable.
Yeah, it's fine, you can say they're crap if you want to, no one's gonna judge you here, but yeah, Tony Curran, I know him best as the brother of Margaret Schroeder, I believe, in Boardwalk Empire. Great actor. I haven't really seen him in anything else, but he's fantastic in this episode as Vincent.
Well, like I said before, they seem to have gotten, like, the actual physical casting spot on, so if his acting is anything up to snuff, then yeah, he'll bound to be a great character.
Now, obviously, I think he's from Holland originally. He's been played by Scott here. They make no effort to give him, like, a Hollandaise accent, or whatever the term is. There you go, I got it right.
Hey, it's almost like you've watched this episode before.
Hey, shut up your face. So, 11th Doctor, Matt Smith. Love his little tweed jacket he's got on here, his dicky bow. I'm gonna be honest, I think he's better than David Tennant. I love the 11th Doctor.
From what I have seen, and keep in mind, this is coming from someone who has a very limited exposure to Doctor Who stuff, although I think I have enough between David Tennant and Matt Smith that I can understand why people would prefer David Tennant over Matt Smith. At the same time, I can also understand why people would prefer Matt Smith over Dave Tennant. But I think both of them together make, as a pair, perhaps the best Doctors I think I've heard of in Doctor Who, just because they offer very different dynamics.
Yeah.
And one offers something a bit more, I guess, serious in tone, although he does have his odd occasion where he's a bit balmy, whereas Matt Smith is he's constantly quirky, he's outgoing, and obviously he's got the style with the bow ties and what have you going on, so he gets some points there for that one. So yeah, I don't think I have a preference either way. I think they're both very good Doctors.
Well, just putting aside this trauma here, I once heard someone describe the 10th and 11th Doctors as David Tennant's Doctor is a cool guy who doesn't really flex or think he's cool, whereas on the other hand, the 11th Doctor is like a complete dork who thinks he's cool.
That's an excellent way of putting it. Although then again, if David Tennant is like the cool Doctor, where would that put the 9th Doctor then?
He just is. He's from the north. Lots of planets have a north.
So he's like the hard man Doctor almost, but
yeah. So yeah, mental illness, not really understood at this point in history, and there's like lots of happenings going around. There's a murder. People can't seem to find the source of it, so just blame it on the local madman, really.
Yeah, that's usually the way it goes. But then again, you say the whole thing about mental health, yet In modern times, it still doesn't really seem to be wholly understood or accepted either, which is a bit unfortunate, but, oh well, at least we're progressing somewhat if it's a bit of a slow pace.
Yeah. Thankfully, we came to the point in Vincent's history where he hasn't, cut one of his ears off, so we're thankful and lucky in that regard.
Although it would have been quite interesting to sort of, like, for them to jump in just as it was about to happen or something like that, and just go, no, wait! We're gonna show you some shit first, trust me, this will be good. Just give me 30 minutes.
I want a straw hat like that, but I worry that I won't be able to pull it off.
I actually have a beachcombing hat that I got in the Caribbean, and it was made from, it was either banana leaves or something like that. Actually really damn nice, because they make it from like the fresh stuff, and they weave it all down and all that, and then after a few days it dries, and it just becomes a really tough, hard-wearing beachcombing hat. So I keep it around. I don't go to the beach as much as I would like, admittedly, but it is a very, very hardy hat, and it's been with me for probably close to 10 years now, and it still hasn't shown any signs of wear or tear yet.
Oh, bless. Look at all these, like, iconic images just, like, hanging on his walls, or just, like, propping up a table and whatnot.
One of them is a table.
Aw.
So I'm noticing a lack of demonic or shadowy entities in these particular paintings.
Well, there was only one that turned up in, the thingamabobs, the church painting and whatnot, so I guess we'll have to go investigate that church at some point.
You know, I was kidding about the whole thing of one being actually used as a table, then he's using one as a fucking tea or coffee coaster over there earlier. I really like how the doctors seem to have very convincing excuses for things to make sure people don't get entirely suspicious, but would I be incorrect in assuming that there's been more than a few times where, at the end of a particular adventure, people have gone, something's not quite right about that guy?
Well, there was a completely... Let me restart that sentence properly. There was another episode called The Shakespeare Code, featuring, as you might have guessed, fucking Will Shakespeare himself, and he sees completely through the psychic paper. He says it's blank and whatnot.
Oh, okay, that's interesting. I was actually going to think if anybody has like seen through the psychic paper before as well, but you've answered two questions at once, and Vince is obviously very rattled.
He is, I think he's manic depressive. I'm not entirely sure what illness he suffered from, but he can swing wildly from being like calm to just a complete, for lack of a better PC term, nutcase, really. And Amy, I've told you not to fucking run off! How many times are you gonna run off? Oh, are we dealing with something invisible, mayhaps? Can he see something we don't, Volk?
I'm half expecting it just to be like a demon straight in the middle of it. It's like, you can't see them!
Now, obviously, there is a monster here. Something murdered that girl. But what else could be a metaphor for a monster that you're fighting that you can't see, Volk?
Your own inner demons.
Your mental illness. So, it kind of weaves the themes of, like, depression, bipolar and whatnot, with your standard Doctor Who going into the past of the future and dealing with a monster sort of plot. And honestly, there's a bit of corniness here and there, but the actual emotional depth of the episode is very rich.
I almost feel bad for, like, the thought coming to my mind is that they're just LARPing the entire time. Just half expecting Van Gogh to throw a lightning bolt, and it's just literally a tennis ball.
How about you scurvy git?
Oh man, I got blood all over my suit.
It's alright. This is just a Tuesday evening for Vincent, really.
I do appreciate the fact that they have given the entities some kind of physical presence. It's not just they're all in your head and what have you. They do have a physical presence that they're just go bumbling around, knocking things over, tearing things up.
Oh, well, looks like that one's not going to appear in the museum anytime soon. Maybe he'll redo it, otherwise, fuck, we just changed history.
So I guess this is where he's going to be drawing a picture of what he saw. You know, that's a funny thing. A lot of people would say that painting is probably ruined, although in some respects there are ways where you can actually take off individual layers of paint. And I can't remember exactly where I saw it, but there was this whole thing about somebody's like wall or maybe another portrait or something like that had been painted over multiple times. And of course one layer of paint was much more dried on than the one on top of it. So they literally just wiped all that paint off and just like slowly and carefully like used paint strippers and other paint removing techniques, and just like below it is just an immaculate version of another painting underneath it.
Fucking Doctor, get out of here. Go back to your TARDIS and TARDIS about, I guess. I love Matt. I think this was actually Matt Smith's best season, but he was great, like, right up until the end, because he did have some stinkers, as it were. Not as many as Tennant, in my opinion, but sometimes the scripts just weren't there, but when they were on fire, that's prime television. They got new cameras and whatnot, I believe, for this series, because David Tennant's thing looked very TV. This looks made for, the cinema and whatnot in a lot of respects.
Or what would be the live-action equivalent of perhaps an anime OVA. Obviously, it's like a straight-to-DVD release or something like that, but obviously the quality is very similar to that you would expect from a 1.5-hour feature flick. Oh, hello, baby. Did you miss me?
So what do you know about the TARDIS, mate? Tell me.
I know that it's a lot bigger on the inside than it is on the outside.
Mm-hmm.
And I know there's all sorts of technology gubbins in there, but as to what exactly they are, I'm not wholly sure.
That's the first Doctor, William Hartnell. That's the second Doctor.
So it's just literally printing off all the other Doctors. So are the other Doctors actually communicating with him through this?
No. It's, I guess it's just scanning him and whatnot. Because when they regenerate, every cell in his body kind of changes. But I think the 50th anniversary described it as, same software, different case.
So, like, basically all the Doctors previously are present in him. It's just his physical visage is just entirely different, but the presence of all the other Time Lords is still there, and all of, I guess, the accumulated knowledge and what have you.
Yeah, all the accumulated knowledge. Their personalities are buried, and the new one takes over. So the 10th Doctor described it as like someone dying and a new man walking off, but he was very vain. And this Doctor met death with joy, actually, not to give too much away.
I seem to remember something along the lines that when the 12th Doctor was introduced, Peter Capaldi,
yeah,
I think it was during like his first couple of episodes, or like the big handoff episode, where Matt Smith actually contacted Peter Capaldi, and it was just like, yeah, I don't have a lot of time left, so listen up and I'm going to tell you some shit. I can't exactly remember what was said, but it was sort of like the big turnaround for like the other like female lead to grow with Capaldi, so to speak.
It wasn't him contacting the 12th Doctor, it was him contacting Clara.
Ah, right, okay, but I guess he spoke to the 12th Doctor as well, since he was kind of there.
No, he didn't, actually.
Really? Oh, right, yeah, that's right. I think I'm misremembering.
You got the gist of it right, so that's really the only thing that matters. You were technically correct. The best kind of correct.
Hell yeah! I understand some of Doctor Who. I'm not entirely lost on this series, but... Oh god, it's a demon! Stab at me!
Oh god, a redhead. In this day and age, localized entirely within this village.
That gave me such a bamboozle, I have to fix my bow tie.
Have you seen that image? Angrily fixes bow tie. Listen here, you little shit.
Oh, listen here, you little shit. Yes. Oh, I absolutely love that meme. Just because of the face on the second panel in particular.
So, we are dealing... That comes from the Rings of Arcten, by the way. That is a Series 7 episode, I want to say. Excellent speech at the end, otherwise not really much to write home about. Sunflowers,
Hint, hint, nudge, nudge, wink, wink.
I like how they filled his garden with sunflowers. Or maybe they were his to begin with, who knows, really. He has a nice house for someone who doesn't really sell that many paintings.
It's like, I much prefer marigolds, and like, Amy's just like, oh, for fuck's sake. Goes back out and just picks out every marigold she possibly can.
So yeah, we're dealing with an invisible chicken monster.
It looks like concept art for a Final Fantasy monster, honestly.
It does, yeah. You expect it to turn up there, or like maybe a Devil May Cry game, actually.
Yeah, it looks like kind of a mixture of like a cockatrice and a behemoth in some respects, so it could very easily have come out of Final Fantasy, but yeah, I could agree with that as well.
Now, this episode was written by Richard Curtis, and I'm going to try and see if he's done any other Doctor Who episodes that we might know of. No, just Vincent and the Doctor. What else is he sort of known for? He's known primarily for his romantic comedy films, among them Four Weddings and a Funeral, Notting Hill, Bridget Jones' Diary, Love Actually, About Time, the drama War Horse, and for having co-written the hit sitcoms Blackadder, Mr. Bean, and The Vicar of Dibley. Oh, of course, that's where I know him from.
He's got quite a good backlog then, or rather a history of what stuff he has made. He seems to have made some generally high-quality stuff, this episode included, I would assume.
Indeed. He is also the co-founder of Comic Relief, along with Lenny Henry.
Ah, how wonderful.
Yeah, we're dealing with a writer who has a very big pedigree with, like, writing stuff with emotional depth and with a bit of a comedic bent to it. Blackadder especially did that very well.
And obviously you got stuff like Love Actually and Four Weddings and a Funeral to add to that as well.
Now, we've seen Vincent at his best. Now I think it's time to see him at his lowest, I think. Thankfully, I don't really get this low these days thanks to my medication, but I think we've all been here once or twice.
Yep, I can safely say I've been there more than a few times.
Well, I'm sorry, okay. I didn't mean to keep cancelling sessions.
It's alright, it's all in the past now.
Oh, Jesus! Get out, Tom! Get out! What are you doing here? Go away! I make fun, but I'm making fun of myself more than anything, and this mania hits very close to home. The first time I watched this episode, well, this is a bit of a silly aside, but we were watching it in the front room, and we were having a bit of a kerfuffle with the blinds. They like fell down, and I couldn't put them up, so me and my mum had a bit of an argument and whatnot. So I didn't really appreciate the episode, obviously, as much as I could have done. But when I watched it about the second time, I almost cried.
I mean, if it hits that close to home, it's hardly surprising. I could recall a few times where I've been in a situation where I clearly, like, needed someone around to kind of provide some comfort and some solace, but at the same time, I just kind of wanted to be alone at the same time. And having that conflict of wanting someone and just wanting to sort of have some space for yourself is absolutely maddening.
Oh yeah, he's got his tools, he's ready to rock.
He's like he's watched too much Bloodborne, and it's just like, yeah, I'm going out. It's time to hunt. Seriously, if he was in black, he would look like he would come straight out of Bloodborne.
Now, I once want to make Vincent van Gogh in friggin' Bloodborne. Give him like an easel and one eye as his weapon.
Van Gogh the Manic, and he's like one of the bosses inside one of the cathedrals or something.
She's crying? She didn't even notice. So yeah, the Doctor knows what he's talking about. She has experienced a loss, but she can't remember her fiancé.
And of course, you can't just up and tell her either, I imagine.
She won't understand.
"3D shades."
Oh, he has the little mirror thing. Oh, they're gonna bury the girl who was murdered in the village.
So are you a fan of all the different hats, Tom? What's your favourite? Do you prefer the bowler, the top, or the flat cap?
I prefer to be respectful during such a scene, Volk. But since you asked, I like Vincent's hat the best.
I'll take option 4.
So how do you feel about the episode so far, Meg? Yeah, considering we're roughly about the halfway point here.
Very heavy thematically. I mean, obviously I'm trying to sort of keep my wits about me and enjoy it whilst resisting to make the odd quip here and there. But yeah, I'm enjoying it so far. I like the theme. I dig Vincent's battle with himself being portrayed in the way that it has. I'm just very intrigued to see how they'll actually go about offing this thing.
See, the Doctor likes to talk, and it's very hard to get him to stop sometimes. Oh no. Oh no, self-reflection is kicking in again. That line. Fucking Michelangelo.
So I told him, look, there's no money in drawing marble statues with penises on them.
Yeah, because don't forget he's a time traveler. He doesn't really experience it. Would sequentially be the term like us?
Yeah. It's one of those things, like, it was in an episode of Star Trek as well, where Data was trying to figure out the concept of time and how people experience it, and was making the point how some people can feel that they've experienced a few minutes in like an hour or whatever, and it's just like, I'm gonna try turning off my internal chronometer, and Riker just goes up to him and just make sure you're not late for your shift.
Yes, I am. I have knowledge on my side.
I have a briefcase. It has sharp corners.
She's gonna follow him.
How long is it gonna take for her though? 5 seconds? A minute?
Who wouldn't? Fucking Karen Gillis.
Alright, calm down, Tom.
I'm just saying.
I'm sure you are.
Alright, I got my backwards mirror on. Objects in the mirror are closer than they appear.
I'm just making the next time he breaks that out, he just put like little indicator lights on them as well. And just before you know it, it just goes to a full-blown car. Ooh, we're all Castlevania up in this bitch now. Surely the noise would be alerting the demon.
I guess we'll see. Well, it's not a demon first and foremost, it's an alien.
Ah, right, it's just an alien, so it's not actually a demon then. It just looks demonic. Fair enough.
God, what a racist. Where are you? I use my magic wand to find you. It's a scientific instrument, not a water pistol. Don't point it like that.
Keep your wits about you, Matty. He's coming for you.
The Doctor's name is not Matt, okay? It is the Doctor. Oh, jeez. Very nearly got bisected there.
Sounds like the mirror just went kaput as well. You know, I never really understood the sonic screwdriver as like a weapon and what have you, because it just looks like there's a little light on there. It doesn't seem to really do much, but at the same time, it seems to be able to do just about anything you can think of, from repairing you some complicated equipment to offing gigantic monstrosities from another world.
Well, it's not a weapon, it is a scientific instrument.
So what is it doing in this case when he was pointing it at the alien?
Scanning it, I suppose.
Ah, fair enough. So it wasn't actually causing any kind of physical harm then?
No, not at all. I mean, if he pointed it at a mechanical being, he could probably shut it down, but that's about it.
Ah, okay, fair enough.
And creatures like Cybermen would probably have fail-safes against that sort of stuff. It also does not work on wood or deadlocks, I believe.
And I don't think it works on stone either, if I remember something about the, angel statue-y things.
Well, they're like living aliens, so it can work on stone. It just takes years.
Ah, right, fair enough. So, I got a chair and I'm not afraid to use it! I'm not gonna lie, part of me feels like this is very Sentai as well.
A little bit, yeah. It's okay. I'll walk this off. I'm not ready to regenerate just yet. My contract's not up.
Has there ever been a time where a doctor was about to regenerate and then just went no?
Yes, actually, the 10th Doctor. I'm not going to go into details there because it'll take too long. He ran into his companion Rose again, who he hadn't seen in a while, but a Dalek kind of like pipped him with a death laser, and he was regenerating. And he used his regeneration to heal himself and put the rest of it into his spare hand that was cut off in a previous battle. He grew a new one, don't ask.
Okay.
And the 11th Doctor described it as regenerating and kept like the same face. He had vanity issues at the time.
Okay, that's fair enough. So, could you see he was like regenerating into Matt Smith's character, or was it just one of those like he turned slightly green and sort of went into an odd shape sort of deal?
No, he did the typical, like, energy blast of regeneration and just came back as David Tennant again.
It's just like, damn it, it's a rerun.
He just used the regeneration energy to heal his damaged cells and kept the same body and personality.
Alright, fair enough. It's just like, damn it, this is too awesome, I want a redo. Brr.
He's the last of the Time Lords at this point in time, by the way. Time Lords were all over the place in the classic seasons, but not so here.
Quick question in that regard, was the Master a Time Lord?
Yes, he was.
And of course, he was off around the time that David Tennant finished up all his shite, I take it. No, wait, he couldn't have done, because he regenerated as well, didn't he?
Well, in the new series, he first appeared as Derek Jacobi, who actually had amnesia, didn't realise he was the Master, and then he opened up a fob watch which kept his memories inside, and then he regenerated into John Sim, I believe.
Oh, okay. Come on, you're not that old. Well, I suppose technically speaking you are, but you don't look that old. Yeah, nice job, Doctor. Doctor, I'm trying to sneak around, but the clap of my ass cheek is alerting the monster.
Oh, the easel. He just goes clapper, clapper, clap.
What are you doing, Vincent? This is a terrible self-portrait of me. Oh no, wait, he's been stabbed. Never mind.
Ow, that hurts!
This fucking hurts! Get it out of me!
So yeah, the parallels between Vincent and the alien are very, very on the nose here, but they just managed to play it off just subtly enough for it to work.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't really get it until basically this point.
So yeah, that alien is part of a species that is invisible and hunts throughout the galaxy or universe or whatever, and they can go invisible, but that one was left behind because it was blind, so...
Basically left to fend for itself or just die due to not having something that would be essential to its survival and what have you.
Now, I enjoy most of the episode for what it is. From here on until the ending, this is where it shines the brightest.
Alright, well, I shall do my best not to talk too much then and just try and absorb and enjoy as much of it as I can.
That will come in very handy when it's time to edit.
Yes, just 10 minutes of silence. Hey, less work for me! There we go. That's another inspiration for one of his paintings.
Just the way Tony Curran gushes about his love of life as this character just really sells it for me.
I like how he kind of sees it as the painting as well. He's not just sort of looking at it either. That's a really nice touch.
The best historicals in Doctor Who I've found is when the Doctor and his companions really connect with the characters in question. If they're just there for like a visit and whatnot and they don't really, get on that well, that's fine. But stuff like this is where it's the best, I think.
Where they literally sort of almost make a new friend as opposed to just helping a historical figure to make sure time doesn't go completely foobarred. No, it doesn't have the same impression if you don't have the beard press as well. The beard is what gives it the lasting impression, you see.
Yeah, he's a bit of a horn dog, is Vincent, but hey, I relate to him. He wants to kill monsters, he wants to paint, he wants to fuck. Vincent van Gogh fucks.
I have needs, Amy. Primal cardinal needs.
I don't think David Tennant could have pulled off this episode. No offense to the guy, I loved him as the 10th Doctor, but this is just a slower paced and more emotional sort of episode, whereas David Tennant's good with the bombastic stuff.
Yeah, I feel like Matt Smith's personality is better suited for this sort of thing. I don't think, thinking about David Tennant's Doctor in this situation, I just don't think it would have been nearly as good.
What do you think's going to happen, Volk?
Oh, is he going to show him around? Oh, wait, I think he's going to take him back to when he's like... Well, you're going to take him back to the museum, I think I remember now?
Maybe.
If this is the scene I'm thinking of, this is where they take him back to the art museum, and so he can actually see just how much of an impact his work has had.
There you go, mate.
But yeah, that particular scene is one that gets shared around, I think, more than most Doctor Who scenes in general.
That's a great line.
I like it. So which one makes the coffee?
I don't know, but there is one that has ketchup and mustard.
No mayonnaise?
Well, they are refined as it were. I always love how the 11th Doctor's first TARDIS interior kind of looks like those children's playthings you can find at the dentist and whatnot, with the loops and the beads.
And just like that little Lego table that they sometimes have. So obviously he's going to wipe his memory of this after he's all done then.
No, not at all.
Oh, really? Okay, that's a little surprising.
It's the fucking Doctor, he's not one of the Men in Black.
Come on, you tell me the side screwdriver could not also double as a neuralizer?
It could, but I don't want it to. He's like, whoa, pocket music!
This This is an excellent rectangle. Oh, yeah, this is all coming back to me now.
But now you get the full context for it.
Absolutely. Fucking Matt Smith. See, I can be a work of art too, but I am already the very tapestry of beauty. I like how he doesn't even see his own name.
Nope. Too busy appreciating the art, mate.
This is a guy you could lose very easily in a museum.
It gets me every time, fuck.
They made a pretty good choice of music, although I couldn't quite tell you who it is, or the artist, or whatever.
It's on the tip of my tongue, but yeah, I can't remember either.
You were nice about the time, therefore we are now best friends.
Another cracker this morning, I love Bill Nighy. He's a great actor. He was, Davy Jones in, the Pirates films. He was also Sean's stepdad in, Shaun of the Dead.
Oh, yeah.
When you have to take compliments about yourself and you can't really allow them into your heart because while you want to, you just can't believe it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, to be fair, this is like a little out of his time, so to hear all this now is probably overwhelming, to say the least.
There is another historical very early on in the very first series with Chris Eccleston, where they meet Charles Dickens, and Charles asks him just as they're leaving, "How long will my books go on?" He says, "Will my books continue? Will people like them?" And the doctor says, "Yes." And he asks for how long, and he says, "Forever." And he doesn't reply. He just looks grateful and walks off.
Ah. At least he apologized this time.
Hang on. Was that fucking Vince? No. No, my bow tie is too tight, too tight.
It's got into circulation to my brain. Yeah, I can see why that scene had just a significant amount of impact on people who watched this the first time around.
Let's just hope he's able to find peace and become better at this point.
Well, I mean, it's safe to say he's had a bit of a life-changing experience, so I think he'll be alright. So have there ever been occasions where they've, like, revisited people or whatever in these situations?
Once or twice, but I can't remember anything off the top of my head.
Ah, fair enough. So it has been known to happen, but just nothing really springs to mind immediately.
Oh, actually, Winston Churchill is one, I believe.
Oh, really? Huh.
What are you expecting, Vok?
Is he gonna have, like, some portrait of Amy Pond or something?
I guess we'll see. They're all here. Nothing changed.
Oh. Well, I suppose there are some parts of history that just seem to stay as a constant.
this is perfect. It's a pile of good things and a pile of bad things. Now listen very carefully. That's something I've definitely taken to heart since first watching this, because with depression, it can eat up everything that seems good in your life and turn it against you, but just because there's bad things in your life, it doesn't invalidate the good things happening.
Mm-hmm. And, no monster either.
So that's one minuscule change.
There's bound to be at least one more. The sunflowers are there.
Yep. Got 'em right eventually.
For Amy. Oh, that's adorable. Well, if that isn't a convincing case for injecting some good into his world, I don't know what is. Gotta get that last little comedic quip in there just to bring things back home. I can appreciate that.
Well, it's sadness mixed with comedy, mate, and that's British writing in a nutshell, really.
Pretty much.
So yeah, that was Vincent and the Doctor. And I'm just going to go ahead and close the video now. So, what did you think of that one, Millard?
It was a very powerful episode, I have to say. Probably definitely the strongest that I've seen out of all the episodes I've perhaps seen in my time, from what I can remember. And I definitely see why this is ranked as high as it is on a lot of people's favourites. And those scenes towards the end, in particular, just cemented it. So, yeah, can't really say much other than that. It was very well written. The mixture between sadness and joy were very poignant and very well executed. Casting, very good choices and solid on the casting. Can't really say much else than that, really.
I'd say the weakest element was the alien part of it, which I get is, a metaphor for depression and whatnot. It's invisible, but it can still hurt you nonetheless. But it's the interactions between the Doctor, Vincent, and Amy and everything around the alien that really sell the episode for me. So it's not perfect, but it will definitely always rank in my top 10 of Mon Doctor Who episodes. And if you guys want to see any of the Mon Doctor Who episodes, you can commission them by going to patreon.com/HellfireComms. And who knows, maybe we'll cover your favourite episode. Or maybe you'll give us something like fucking Fear Her, which I'll just sit there mad about for the whole 45 minutes or so. So who knows? Put your money where your mouth is and help support HFC today. See you next time for more HFC Patreon at TV Comms. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.